How's it going out there? This is Fishheads IV. What I wanted to talk to you guys today is I wanted to talk to you guys about setting up a freshwater planet tank. I've been getting a lot of questions on my channel, and I figured, you know what, the best thing would be to actually set one up and go step by step as to what goes into it. You know, what do I think about? What are my questions when I put one together? And so I said, you know what I could do is we're going to start up a video series. We're going to build a planet tank together. Well, not just a planet tank. We're going to go into freshwater in depth, I guess. We're going to talk about everything that can go into a freshwater tank, all the different tank styles. We're going to talk about all the things you need to consider and look at, you know, heaters and filters and all that. You know, you can generalize it and say, you know, tank, water, filter, light, fish, done. That's not really how I like to do things. You know, I like to really sit down and I'll write people essays, you know, pages of response, so they have a really good understanding of what, you know, I'm trying to explain to them. So without further ado, the first thing that you need to do when it comes to putting together a freshwater tank is, before you go out and buy anything, plan it out. What I like to do is I like to go to the local fish stores around here, you know, even the big box stores, or even preferably the mom and pop stores around my town, and look at their tanks. You know, what appeals to me? What is it that I like to see aesthetically in my tanks? You know, do I like the driftwood? Do I like the rock work? Do I like you know, cichlids, angels, discus, tetras, goldfish? There's a million and one ways you can put together a tank. So before you go out and buy anything, sit down, plan it out, look online, talk to your local fish guys, ask them, you know, about the fish that you like. You know, whatever it is that interests you, what are those fish's requirements? You know, what are those fish's needs? What are those plants' needs? You know, and get an idea of what's compatible as far as all that goes. You know, that way you can kind of plan out even further, you know, into your tank. You know, I can put this fish and this fish together. I can put them with these plants because they're not going to pull them up. They're not going to eat them. You know, so first things first, plan it out. What kind of stuff do you want to see in your tanks? Secondly, you really need to find a good location for your tank. Now, most people tend to forget that water weighs close to 8 pounds a gallon. I could be wrong on that, but it's near there. Not to mention the weight of the tank itself, the substrate they're going to put into it, the decoration, the driftwood, the rocks, you know, all that fun stuff, the weight of the light on top, the stand itself. All those things play a factor, and they're going to be extremely heavy on your floor. Even a 10-gallon tank, trust me, you're not going to pick one up full of water. So make sure that the floor that you're going to put it on is going to be able to hold it. All too often, you know, I hear horror stories of people putting a massive tank on like the 3rd floor of their house, and all of a sudden the floor begins to give, and they end up either breaking their floor or cracking their tank from it, like bending underneath. You know, so keep in mind of weight. You know, be sure to put it in a place that's not going to be in your way, but at the same time it's going to be in a place that you're going to pay attention to it. Because if it's out of the way, somewhere you're not going to look at it too often, you're going to end up forgetting about it, and you're going to end up skipping out on the maintenance that it needs. There's no real maintenance-free tank. You know, the only maintenance-free tank are going to be the little lights that you buy with the tank is scrolling across there. And I've even had those break on me, where I have to pull them apart and fix the motor or something in them. So there's no maintenance-free tank. So when you're thinking about putting one together, you got to realize there's going to be work into it. You know, there's going to be a little bit of responsibility, accountability, because you have to figure you're going to be in charge of another creature's life. So you want to make it as comfortable for them as possible, because they're going to be in your space in that little tank, when in the wild they're used to, you know, hundreds of feet of open water and all that good stuff. So I like to make it as natural as possible. You know, really try and meet that animal or that plant's needs for them to thrive. You know, I don't deal with just good enough. I'll make sure that it's going to be the most comfortable thing for them, and also it's going to be the most aesthetically pleasing thing for me, because it really mimics or recreates that biotope that I want with that particular fish or plant. So be sure to plan it out. I'm actually, as I was planning out this video, I am partnering up with ABC Pets here in Fairport. They're a local owned store. It's a mom and pop store, and it's phenomenal. They're really knowledgeable. They have a ton of stuff on sale that you can look at, you can buy. They have a bunch of display tanks. Coming up, I'll show you guys a quick video of their store, and you can kind of get an idea of why it is I like to go there. They have a display tank with planet tanks, low-tech planet tanks, cichlid tanks with plants, aggressive fish tanks, salt water, of course. And so what I like to do is I'll go in there, I'll just stare at the tanks, stare at the fish, stare at the plants, and just get ideas. I like that plant. Can I put that in my tank? Oh no, it needs this kind of lighting. It needs, this kind of substrate. There's things that you have to consider when you're putting it all together. But the best thing is going out and brainstorming. You don't have to buy anything when you go in the store. Just go out and get an idea. Write out a list of things that you want to put in your tank. And like I said, it could be anything from goldfish to discus. If you want it in your tank bad enough, you will sit down, plan it out, get that patience built up, because without it, you're going to fail. As they say in this industry, nothing good happens fast in a fish tank. And that's the same for saltwater as it is for fresh. So it's going to be a work in progress. It's going to take some time to do. Even the show tanks that you see in the magazines, Amanos and Oliver Knott's and Tom Barr, they always show the mature tanks in their layouts. Never show all the work that they put into getting it to that stage. So don't be afraid if it doesn't all happen right away. Don't be afraid if you lose a fish or two, or if you kill a plant. Because it's going to happen, and it's natural. Granted, you want to try and avoid that as much as possible, but it's bound to happen. There's some things that even I still overlook, and there's I put a lot of hours of research into this. So first things first, when you go to put together a fish tank of any kind, plan it out. Location, weight, price. You got to budget out what it is you want to spend on this stuff. You don't have to buy the new stuff, but budget out a reasonable amount for what you want to spend, and what it is that's going to meet your needs for your fish and plants, or whatever it is you put in there. Make sure that you have an idea of compatibility for your fish and your plants. And then also, don't be afraid to have fun. Think outside the box a little bit. You don't have to completely recreate a tank that you saw in a magazine. You can make it your own. And the thing that I found to be the most helpful is the less I worry about making the tank look perfect. I keep it simple. I throw in the things that I like, and then I make sure it's all compatible. Then when it comes to laying it out, it just, whatever looks good and whatever I think, catches my eye. So it doesn't have to be every single stone has to be perfect. You have to keep it simple. So I'm going to put together a whole video series for you guys. First step, planning. The next step, we're going to talk about tanks and stands, and we'll go on from there. I was lucky enough to where I'm going to be working with ABC Pets here in Fairport directly, and together we're going to be putting together a really sweet tank for you guys. Now, before I end this video, this is my 75-gallon planted tank. It's really kind of a mess. This was the tank I had on the porch, and I just have all my plants potted individually. And as you can see too, I thought ahead of time. The plants that need more light I have over here. Plants that need less light I have over here. So before I forget, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to get your friends to subscribe. If they have questions or they have ideas, or they want to even, they want to kind of get an understanding for what it is you like to do with your fish tanks. And don't forget to check out my video contest I'm having, where you guys subscribe and let me know. That way I can, trim this whole tank down completely and make it breathe a little bit, So I look forward to making more videos for y'all. When you watch these videos, don't be afraid to click on the ads, because it helps me out a little bit. Special shout out to Aquatic Universe. It's one of the new forums that I'm helping out on, kind of giving them my 2 cents on whoever has questions. And even more so, we'll have a meeting coming up for the Upstate Aquatic Club. So if you're watching this and you live locally in Rochester, New York, be sure to hit me up and we'll get you involved with all that. So, yes, click on these videos. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, I'll look into adding them into the videos coming up, and I'll answer them all accordingly. And I'll really try and make this the best video series for putting together a freshwater tank. Oh, lights out. Good night, guys. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to the new videos with you. Bye.